You can think about the Whole30 like pushing the reset button with your health, your habits, and your relationship with food. So for 30 days, you'll eliminate foods that the scientific literature and our clinical experience have shown to be really commonly problematic to varying degrees across a broad range of people. You pull these foods out for 30 days and see what changes. In the absence of these potentially problematic foods, what happens to your energy, your sleep, your mood, your cravings, your digestion, your attention span, your focus in the gym or performance, athletic recovery, aches and pains, joint swelling, allergies, acne, asthma, the list goes on and on. All of these things are really closely associated with the food that you're eating and maybe having a negative impact to you in sneaky ways that you don't even associate back with your diet. At the end of the 30 days, you'll reintroduce those foods one at a time, very carefully and systematically, like a scientific experiment, and see what changes. So if you eliminate something and your skin clears up, and then you reintroduce it and it breaks out, that gives you really valuable information about how that food interacts with you as a unique individual. And this protocol allows you to build the perfect diet for you because there is no one size fits all. So elimination diets are really, according to most doctors, the gold standard in terms of identifying food sensitivities and intolerances, even more so than laboratory testing in so many cases. What you need to do on the Whole30 is eliminate all of the foods that, again, are really commonly problematic. You're eliminating all forms of added sugar, so that's even the natural stuff like honey or artificial sweeteners. You're eliminating all forms of alcohol. You're eliminating grains, so that would be even whole grains, things like wheat, rye, barley, corn, rice, even pseudo cereals like quinoa. You're pulling out all legumes, so it's beans, peas, peanuts, soy, and yes, legumes. And then you're pulling out all forms of dairy. So it would be no milk, no cheese, no yogurt. The only exception to dairy is that we do cook and use clarified butter or ghee. And the protocol is 30 days. You're eliminating these foods 100% because you really want to be able to accurately evaluate what your life is like without any of these potentially problematic triggers. So these are the foods that, again, the scientific literature have shown are very commonly problematic. And in my clinical experience since 2009, when the first Whole30 began, I've watched hundreds of thousands of people go through the program and report kind of the same or very similar issues with these foods. However, we're not saying these foods are bad. I'm just saying these foods are unknown. They are really commonly problematic to varying degrees, and I don't know how they're going to work for you until you eliminate them and then put them back into your diet and compare your experiences. It actually began as a self-experiment, or more accurately, a dare. So my co-founder and I were really into fitness and health at the time, and we had done this really grueling Olympic lifting session, and we were sitting around after the session eating lunch, and I was eating Thin Mints, Girl Scout cookies, right out of this sleeve. And he said to me, I wonder what would happen if we did this really squeaky clean dietary experiment for 30 days. He had been doing a lot of research into inflammatory foods and how they impact the body. And he kind of proposed this protocol, and I was eating my Thin Mints, and I said, okay, that sounds great. When should we start? And he said, how about right now? And I'm a black or white, all or nothing, off or on kind of person, so I put the Thin Mints down, and we began. And that was really the start of the first Whole30. I wanted to see if it would impact my athletic performance and recovery.
And did it?
It did. I got stronger, I got faster in the gym, and I recovered better, but the benefits far exceeded that in really surprising ways. My energy skyrocketed and leveled out. No more 2 p.m. head on desk slump. My sleep improved dramatically. I lost some bloating and puffiness that I didn't even realize I had, but more important, my relationship with food was transformed in a profound way. I didn't realize how often I was using food as punishment, reward, to self-soothe, to relieve anxiety. And in the absence of the comfort foods that I used to eat, I had to learn new coping mechanisms. So for the first time in my life, I was able to get off the scale and out of the mirror, which for me was huge. And it was such a dramatic experience that I really decided I wanted to share it with people, and posted the protocol that we had done on my blog. And that was really the start of the very first Whole30 in July 2009. So it depends on your perspective. I think it's relatively easy. You know, the most famous line in the Whole30, the tough love of the Whole30 says, you know, losing a parent is hard, beating cancer is hard, birthing a baby is hard, drinking your coffee black for 30 days is not hard. And it's meant to speak to the fact that you have done harder things than this. We offer so much support and so many resources that I think for anyone coming into the program now, I mean, I think back to when people were doing it in 2009 with just a couple rules on my blog on a website and no handouts and no forum and no social media to support them, and people rocked it then. So I think it's easier than ever now to do the program. But if you go into it with the expectation that it's going to be hard, it's going to be grueling, it's going to be difficult, then it will be. It really all comes down to how you're going into it and your perspective. Eliminating processed sugar is probably one of the most challenging things because you don't realize how much sugar is snuck into products that you would never think contain sugar. Things like deli meat and chicken broth have added sugar. So you turn into a label reading ninja on the Whole30. You're constantly reading your labels. You know all of the sneaky ways that they're trying to include sugar in your food in kind of sciencey or natural sounding terms. But the black and white rule of the Whole30, no added sugar, if there's any form of sugar in the ingredient list, it's out, actually makes the decision-making process easier. So if I said to you, just eat less sugar, every time you looked at a label, you would think, 3 grams, is that less? Less than what? What if I add it with the 2 grams already in my cart? No added sugar is, oh, look at the label, sugar, boom, I put it back. It takes executive function out of the equation, which frees up your brain a little bit more to exert some willpower. So some of the staples in your refrigerator probably also have serious amounts of added sugar. Ketchup is a big one. Ketchup is remarkably sugary, and whether it comes from corn syrup or cane sugar kind of doesn't matter. You've got added sugar in that product. Even mayonnaise, you wouldn't think it tastes sweet, but there's added sugar in almost every single mayonnaise brand that you find on the shelves. So what we wanted to do in the Whole30 cookbook is recreate some of these ingredients so that you can still enjoy a dressing or a sauce or dipping your sweet potato spears in ketchup without the added sugar, without that really sweet taste, without the additives, without all of the processed stuff. So we've created these recipes and they're gonna taste a little bit different from what you're used to. But as you go through the Whole30 and your tastes change and you learn to develop a palate for the natural flavors found in fresh, real food, there's no going back to the processed stuff after that. So one of the things that I learned in watching so many people go through the Whole30 over the years is that people tend to have pretty similar experiences as they go through the 30 days. They've got their ups, they've got their downs, they've got their hard days, they've got days where kind of the magic kicks in. So we created several years ago something called the Whole30 timeline. It's essentially a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek, day-by-day guide to what you can expect on the Whole30. And our Whole30ers report that it is eerily accurate. So, day 1 is, we call kind of the freck-sighted day. You're so frightened and you're so excited. You go through the day thinking, this is amazing, I'm on top of the world, and then, oh my goodness, what have I signed myself up for? Day 4, we call kill all the things. This is the day where you're lethargic, you're cranky, you have cravings, your body has yet to adapt to this new way of eating, and people find them saying to their husbands, can you please stop breathing so loud? It's stuff like that. Days 10 to 11 are the hardest days. They're the days that people are most likely to quit their Whole30. You're far enough into the program that you feel like you should be seeing all of the benefits, but you're not quite far enough along to really feel the energy improve, the sleep improve, your digestion improve. So those are what we call the hardest days. As you go through this timeline, your experience may vary. You may find you're lagging behind or ahead, you may skip stages, and it doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. But we wanted to provide people with kind of a roadmap for what you can expect during the program. It's not all sunshine and rainbows and ponies. But as you go through and get into what we call the tiger blood days, where your energy is rocking, your self-confidence is high, you're really starting to notice those non-scale victories, you can start to celebrate. So back in 2015, we released the Whole30 book. And that book was designed to really walk people through the program step by step. It is an all-in-one place exactly how to do the Whole30 practical application guide. And there are about 100 recipes in that book. Really basic, really simple, designed to teach you how to cook. Because one thing we learned from all the focus groups we did is that before the Whole30, a lot of people didn't cook. And so we wanted to teach you how to do the basics, how to grill a chicken breast or how to cook the perfect steak or the perfect burger or poach eggs. But people followed the recipes in the Whole30 and they did fantastic and they're delicious and they're simple and they really built up their kitchen confidence. And then they started saying, what else can I do? What else can I make? What different flavor profiles can I put together? Or I've got this thing called rutabaga, what should I do with it? So we decided to come up with the Whole30 cookbook, 150 all new recipes that really take it up a notch. We include some specialty ingredients, still pretty easy to find, but that will kind of add some dimension to your meals. We're combining spices and fruits and vegetables in new and exciting ways. Maybe some new cooking techniques for you are included in the book. And we really just want to make it a one-stop shop. All of the recipes are compliant. If you're on the Whole30, you can eat absolutely anything in this book, but it really kind of takes your kitchen confidence up even further.